This week on Everything Went Black, we're doing a From the Vault episode, if you will. However, it's not from the Everything Went Black vault that we're drawing from. Some of you guys out there actually were introduced to me in the podcasting sense, that is, via Metal Matters, the late great podcast for Gimme Radio, aka Gimme Metal, which was a streaming channel, curated streaming channel that unfortunately has gone by the wayside over the last few years. But yeah, I was a host of their podcast back in the day. Some of you guys have asked me about those episodes and whether or not they're ever going to show up somewhere. And I'm going out on a limb. I'm going into the vault and republishing this episode I did from 2019 with Harley Flanagan of the Cromags. And that was a very, very cool discussion I had with Harley. It was right around the time that he secured the rights to the name Cromags. It was like a sort of historical event in some ways. Before we get going, I want to shout out the rest of the Horsemen. I am a member of an elite group of content creators whose mission is to destroy mediocrity in the world. And I got to tell you, there's a lot of mediocrity out there. So kicking things off, we have Brandon Legion every other Monday, bringing you excellent horror content, interviews with filmmakers, actors. Every now and then, one of us will appear on the show, and just cool people. So that's a great way to start the week off. Up next on Tuesdays, we have Jackie Smith's Into the Necrosphere, the greatest extreme music podcast in the land. Wednesday is a double shot. You get Everything Went Black as well as Iblis Manifestations, brought to you by Cheyenne of the band Trivax. Thursday is another double shot day. I return with Mike Scandato and Jeff Kashid for Necromaniacs, which is a horror podcast. We talk about old and new movies, horror, exploitation, that sort of thing. Horror adjacent stuff, such as our Mayhem Down Under episodes, which we just kicked off, that have our special guest, Selden Hunt, along for the ride. And also on Thursday is day one of Soul Knocks, brought to you by Carl Hikara. Friday is Spitball Media, an irreverent commentary on culture, also featuring Mike Scandato's brother, John Draper. Saturday, well, that's a day off. You get to go out, enjoy yourself. We're getting into the autumn season, which is one of my favorite seasons is my favorite season of the year. Autumn, maybe the mightiest season is winter, but autumn is also pretty sick in my book. Sunday, Carl returns with day 2 of Soul Knocks. And I failed to mention earlier, but Carl and I are embarking on Darkness Weaves, which is a collaborative podcast hosted on Everything Went Black and Soul Knocks, where we get into the work of Carl Edward Wagner, a criminally obscure author of horror, weird fiction, and dark fantasy. Right now we're doing the Kane short stories, so check it out. And that's pretty much the whole gamut. We got you covered almost every day of the week except for Saturday. Quite a bit of stuff out there. If you dig the show, definitely tell your friends. Give us a like on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. I am not on TikTok, nor will I ever be on TikTok. If you really dig the show and you want to put your money where your mouth is, you can join the Patreon. And for as little as $1 a month, you can support the show, get access to bonus content, which is posted weekly, by the way. I've got something, at least one thing every week for you guys. For $5 a month, you get early access to the episodes as well as the bonus content. And you also, through Patreon, can sponsor the podcast. Meaning, if you have a business, a band, your own podcast, whatever, you get a special read on a monthly basis. So check it out. Also, there's no commitment. It's an NSA sort of situation where you can cancel your subscription anytime, no repercussions. You might hurt my feelings a little bit, but that is what it is. Anyway, enjoy this bit of history with Harley Flanagan of the Cromags. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you on securing the Cromags name. And that there are so many things associated with that. But the first thing I want to do is say how awesome it is that as soon as I learned about you securing the name, there was new music available. And
Yeah, man, I don't fuck around. I mean, the album's done. We're remixing a couple songs. This was a rough battle, dude. And what I don't think a lot of people realize is that I've actually always owned the name,
right.
and these other guys have been basically touring under that name, without permission and illegally, and honestly, I mean, I think everybody knows that I've been making attempts to try to bring everybody to the table for years, and nobody else was willing to do that. But not only were they not willing to do that, they thought that it was somehow okay for them to take a name that I had come up with and songs that I had written and run around playing them. And it's like, no, dudes, it's not okay. I had been sending cease and desists to clubs and to merchandise companies and all this bullshit. And basically, these guys are just like, do something, because everybody knows it's very, very expensive to get into like legal battles. So it's like these guys were basically just playing chicken with me. They're just like, fuck you, and, I had 2 kids to raise. I didn't have a lot of money to get into a legal battle, but, things changed. And, I was able to do this, with the support of, my wife and the people in my life. I said, I took it back. Ironically, bro, you know what? Lemmy fucking came to me in a dream. And this sounds stupid, but this motherfucker came to me in a dream and he said, "Take it back, mate. It's yours. You started it." And I fucking woke up out of that dream and I was like, what the fuck? Like, it was one of those dreams where the shit is so real that you like wonder if it actually just happened or not. But of course, Lemmy's dead, so I knew it didn't happen. But I was like, yo, that was a message from beyond. I cannot let these motherfuckers just run wild with my shit. Like, Lemmy would never let somebody else just run off with Motorhead. Fuck that. So, you know what? Yeah, I went to battle, and I got my settlement, and I'm making music.
Yeah, the whole Lemmy thing is pretty meaningful, man, because I know that Motorhead is a huge influence on your style of playing, specifically Lemmy. And
yeah,
the nature of reality, man, you never know these days. Like that could have been like some essence from beyond, motivating you
bro,
to do this.
It fucking was. Even if it was just my mind playing tricks on me, you know what? He meant a lot to me, and he was a huge inspiration. And I think that, for all those reasons and more, he's who spoke to me, and, I'll tell you, man, I've always been willing to try to come to amends with those guys, all of them. I personally feel like, when you have the ability to make literally like thousands and thousands and thousands of people happy, and you don't do it because of whatever bitterness or pride or anger or resentment that you may have in your heart towards somebody, I think that is that's a real crime, that someone would allow their own bitterness to prevent all those people from having some joy in their lives.
No, I agree.
I think it's shameful. I think it says a lot about their character, all of them. Like, dude, you'd rather sit there and be pissed off and bitter about shit and talk shit about someone that you used to be friends with than get up on stage and make a fucking lot of people happy. I mean, because really at the end of the day, what the fuck is life? Yeah. You want to take that bullshit with you to your grave, or do you want to like make an impact? Do you want to, it's like all this talk about PMA, oh, fucking bullshit. If you really had any fucking PMA in your soul, we would already be on stage a long time ago making people happy.
Yeah, totally. I agree. And, also, additionally, as great as Age of Quarrel is, I still want to hear new music from the Cromags, and I think that it's great that there's
absolutely, man.
Yeah, that 7-inch came out.
I think those guys should be fucking embarrassed. It's like, dude, are you guys musicians or are you a fucking tribute band? I mean, you know?
Well, that's kind of been my criticism of a lot of, you know, reunions and, you know, bands playing classic records and things like that. It's all well and good, but for me, as a fan of music, I just want to hear more new material, you know?
I mean, shit, even Black Sabbath, you know, yeah, you want to hear all the classics when you see them, but even they put out a fucking new record.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know, and a pretty fucking damn good one.
I like
you know?
I definitely like that record that came out.
So, yeah, you know, I mean, and at the end of the day, you know, the difference really is, you know, John, you know, no disrespect to him, he's not a songwriter. He doesn't know how to write music. He doesn't play an instrument. He doesn't know music. He doesn't know how to create it. Neither does Mackie. You know, neither of those guys could fucking whistle you a song or hum you a song because they don't have they don't understand notes. You know, and it's like, so you got two guys who never wrote any of the fucking music playing with two scabs who never wrote any of the music. So, you know, that shit, you know, and you know what, like I said, man, I don't even really give a fuck anymore. Like, I've given all these guys so many opportunities to just come to the table and talk, you know, and at the end of the day, yo, man, I got fucking Rocky George on this record.
Yeah.
Who's like one of the baddest motherfuckers to ever play this type of music. I got fucking Gabby Abulrach on this record, who, when he's not playing with me, he's like out playing with the fucking Gil Evans Orchestra. Like, he's a jazz player. He fucking plays flamenco. He's like a sick fucking guitarist, like on another level. I got two of the fucking literally two of the best guitarists to ever play this type of music are in my fucking band and on this record. And my drummer, Gary Sullivan, I mean, he's fucking played with everybody. He's literally played with everybody from like the B-52s to the guys from P-Funk to fucking, you know, it just, his credentials go on and on and on. And every one of these guys was in the Cromags. You know, they all toured with the band for years. They all recorded with the Cromags, except for Gary. So this is actually great. This is my first record I've done with Gary, and I've been playing with him for fucking ever, you know. So
hasn't Gary played? I know that he wasn't on a record, but was he ever in the band on a touring as a set?
He was touring with. He started touring was in the '90s,
okay,
and I mean, I've been playing with him for fucking ages. I mean, I've toured the world with him many times. I've been all over Europe, all over America, Japan. I mean, you know, Gary's my fucking dude, man.
So the 7-inch is out. It's on Victory, and you were saying that you have a full length recorded or ready to be recorded.
No, it's done. That shit is done. I mean, I may, like I said, I'm remixing a couple of the songs. I may do one or two of the vocals over, but it's done. It's it's a little over a half hour, about 30 something minutes. And I think, you know, it continues the assault that 7-inch started. You know, it's the same type of aggression. And, you know, I basically, I mean, I'm not trying to like reinvent the wheel, you know, I'm basically, what I've been doing is thinking about my catalog of music and what do I like about it the most. And I've been trying to recreate those type of feelings. I don't necessarily use the same notes, you know, but like, for instance, the first song on the single, you know, it obviously has a slight, you know, it has a slight "We Gotta Know"-ish type of vibe to the intro. But if you actually listen to it, you know, the notes are not the same. It's not the same chord progressions. The drumming isn't the same. It just has a similar vibe. So I kind of try to retrace and go back and touch on the things that I felt were the best, but without replicating them.
Well, the intro, the intro to "We Gotta Know" spawned a whole genre of music. Really, I mean, there's like that.
Oh, for sure. I mean, dude, fucking. I mean, bro, like Marauder's entire first album sounds like that fucking intro rewritten 20 different ways. You know, I mean, yeah, I could name like 20 bands, and that doesn't mean I don't like that album. It's just like, you know, let's fucking be real here. You know, that album caused a lot of people to try to write the way they were writing. you know?
Yeah, definitely. And as a fan, when I was a kid and I heard that record, it definitely set itself apart from a lot of the other like hardcore punk that I was listening to at the time because of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for starters, the musicianship was actually there. There wasn't a lot of good hardcore bands. I mean, as far as musicianship goes, let's just fucking be real. I thought most of the early New York hardcore bands kind of sucked, honestly. And, my favorite bands were typically always like the DC bands and even the West Coast bands, to be honest. Nobody came close to the Bad Brains. And I think that we were like the next band to like kind of up that ante in that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Like before then, it was like the obvious bands, Minor Threat, Black Flag, Circle Jerks, and, the DC bands like Void, and, so on and so on. But I think that Cromags definitely changed things. And,
So when it comes to the LP, is that also going to be on Victory?
Yeah, we were in Victory, but also A Rising Empire. So in Europe, I actually have 2 record deals. A Rising Empire is doing us in Europe, and Victory is doing us in the rest of the world.
And any information on when that LP might be available for everybody?
We had expected it to be out this year, but realistically, it's looking like the beginning of next year. Yeah. And there's also one other special guest on there that I figured since Lemmy came to me in a dream and kind of set this all in motion, I reached out to his guitarist, Phil Campbell, and he's playing on a song. And it's fucking vicious.
Nice. That's awesome. Another thing that's curious to me was that up until recently, none of the Cromags records were available on any of these streaming services.
I am responsible for that. Okay. I threw everything up there. I part of this whole legal battle that I've been through, it's not just about like me. It's about trying to get everything put in order.
Yeah.
The Cromags never got paid shit for any of our work. And we got really fucked over with Profile Records. And, there's so much confusion about those albums, Best Wishes and Age of Quarrel, like who even has the rights and this and that and blah, 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 blah. So, you know what? I just said, fuck it. I'm putting this shit up there. And, I own the fucking trademark. Who's going to fucking try to stop me? And if they do try to stop me, I will go public and be like, you know what? I put this music up there for the fans. And where's all my back fucking payments? You want to stop me from putting my music up? Okay, where's an accounting on the money? So basically, and so for the record, these songs that are going up on streams and stuff, you only make a few pennies each time a song gets played or whatever, but I'm taking that fucking money and I'm putting it to fucking charity. And all the other guys who got credited, any kind of song credits, ASCAP and BMI and all these fucking, they're all going to make sure that the checks get sent to whoever they're supposed to get to. And I'm washing my hands of it. I just want everybody to get what they were supposed to get. If it was up to me, everybody would benefit from their involvement and from the records they played on. I'm not the guy who's like, fuck you, I won't play with you. I'm just going to run out and be the band. I've been fucking trying to make everybody grow up for like a long time. And, at the end of the day, everybody's got like a fucking ton of excuses. Oh, Harley this, Harley that, Harley did this. You know what? That's all a bunch of fucking smoke screens and bullshit. That's just a bunch of bitter fucking old men making excuses for why they don't want to do something that every fucking buddy else wants them to do. So you know what? You could say, Harley did this, Harley did that. You know what? And I could say, yeah, and you fucking did this and you did that. What the fuck does that even mean? I mean, dude, you motherfucking set me up to get jumped.
Yeah.
And then fucking had me fucking locked up and then went in the newspaper saying, Harley's a snitch, he's a Nazi, he's a skinhead, like said everything you could possibly say in a newspaper to try to get someone fucked up in jail. Really, dude? That's how you fucking do me? You know? Like, you know, if you want to fuck me up, man, grow a fucking pair of balls and come fuck me up. You know, don't fucking try to get me jumped by strangers. You know,
Yeah,
that's just some weak shit. That's just some weak ass cowardly shit from a motherfucker who's always preaching about religion and PMA. Like, really, dude? You know? And at the end of the day, I don't even give a fuck. Like, you know, I could sit down and talk to any of them dudes anytime. I'm not fucking afraid. And I'm you know, if it was up to me, like I said, we would have all fucking settled our business a long fucking time ago. But people want to fucking hold on to like their dirty laundry and fucking piss and moan about shit. It's like, dude, you know, I ain't never set nobody up to get fucking jumped. I fucking either I handle my own business or I fucking let it go. You know?
Well, after, in the wake of all that sort of stuff, personally, you know, I actually don't even want to see any kind of reunion anymore. Honestly, I just
yeah, you know what? Honestly, bro, my only reason to do something like that ever would be for the simple reason that I'm a fan, dude. You know, I'm a fan of music, and who the fuck wouldn't? You know, all I ever wanted to see was Black Sabbath get back together. All I ever wanted to see was all I ever wanted to see was the Misfits get back together. You know, that's all I wanted. And you know, it's too bad they couldn't have done that shit sooner. We would have got a lot more great music, hopefully, and some great shows. I mean, it's like, you know, if you know somebody for 30 years or 40 years, even if you're fucking related to them, you're going to have drama.
That's true. Absolutely,
you know? Yeah. And if you can't fucking look at it and say, you know, guys, we're all at fault. And, you know, we were all young and we were all stupid and we were all conditioned by our surroundings and our environments and the people that had influence on us. And if you can't fucking accept that you make mistakes and that you can, you know, get past it, well, then you fucking got some growing the fuck up to do, you know?
Absolutely.
I mean, I feel I almost feel bad for all these motherfuckers. You know, if that even makes sense. You know.
So you guys also did some dates with the Misfits out on the West Coast.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we have 3 more coming up.
Nice. Are they out west or out here in the East Coast somewhere?
Unfortunately, they're all out west. Glenn was trying to get me on the Madison Square Garden show, but the Garden only wanted 3 bands to play for whatever reason. I don't know if it's like because of time restraint or because of, you know, who knows what the red tape is. They have their reasons. And, you know, God bless Glenn. He fucking went to bat for me. He didn't even have to do that. And, you know, he gave me these shows that I've been doing. And, you know, he's another dude that, like, I don't give a fuck what anybody says, man. Glenn is a fucking good guy. And anybody he's ever been a dick to, I can tell you they probably fucking deserved it, you know, or they came at him in a way that caused him to be that way, you know, because he's a good dude. He really is. I've known him since I'm like fucking 12 years old, you know, and I got nothing but respect for him. And I'm just happy that those assholes were able to sort out their business. You know, I don't even give a fuck what kind of drama, if there is any. I don't care what kind of drama goes on behind the scenes. I know for a fact that for that fucking hour that they're on stage, they're having a fucking great time. And so are like 30,000 motherfuckers who never thought they'd have the opportunity to see that. And if that shit don't matter to you, I'm saying this to all the ex-fucking Cromags too. If that don't matter to you, you shouldn't be doing this shit. Because all you're doing is getting paid. You're just basically paying your bills. If that shit doesn't matter to you, then you're fucking then you're faking the fucking funk.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
If you don't really want to make all those motherfuckers happy, and if you can't just fucking suck up your pride for fucking 1 hour, then you're a fucking asshole. You know?
It's the human ego, man. Oftentimes plays a big role in these kinds of things.
Yeah, you know, and that's sadly part of, you know, people in bands. They get blown up. You know, you have all these people blowing smoke up your ass, and that shit can inflate your head. You know?
Yeah.
I've been a musician my whole fucking life. So, like, you know, I was sort of famous before I even knew what it meant. So, you know.
A few years ago, I interviewed you when your book came out, and I got I had like literally 8 hours to read it, and then I was fortunate enough to be sent a hard copy to read, and then that week I read it, and it's, aside from being a biography, it really serves as this sort of document of New York City and a lot of stuff that people that are even into hardcore and punk don't even know about the city. And I think that book was like, it's almost like like a it could be almost like a textbook of like what New York was like in the late 70s and the 80s.
You know, that's actually kind of how I wanted it to be. You know, I wanted the city and the history of the city to be like a character in the book. You know, I wanted it to become something that you could identify with, and whether you had been there or not, that you could really smell it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, especially these days, as so much has changed in New York, and even music itself, the way music is completely different. And so for anyone out there who hasn't read Harley's book, definitely check it out. Feral House put it out, which is I own many books out of that catalog, and it was a great read.
I gotta say that Adam Parfee, he's put out some crazy shit, man. God bless him. He was not a coward as far as that went.
No, he definitely.
I had shopped around my book to a few people before I got to deal with them, and even Anthony Bourdain was helping me in that department, and he was like, a lot of these publishers are just like, we can't touch this. This shit is too toxic. It's too much, and that's why Feral House was the perfect place for it, because they really honestly let me write what I wanted to write. They didn't make me change anything, and they also gave me the freedom to use as many photographs as I did,
Yeah, some great photos in the book, definitely.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm lucky I have them still,
Yeah, that's the thing, man. It's like when you have actual photographs as opposed to like JPEGs or whatever, they always run the risk of losing things. They put in a box somewhere, they end up getting like lost or stolen or whatever. Is writing something?
I'm very lucky that there were always a lot of people around taking pictures of what I was doing, because I sure as shit wasn't. And, it also it's funny because I did an interview with Glenn Friedman, and he was like non-stop hammering all these like so-called old school hardcore people. He's like, all these people talk about it being there, and I was there, and I was taking pictures, and you were in those pictures, and none of those people were there. He's like, where are they? There was 20, 30 people in the room. They're not in any of these pictures. They're not there, and it was just funny. It was just funny listening to him. He's just like, I was there. They were not. You were.
You can't really argue that. You can't argue something.
You really can't. I mean, it's like, I could show you literally, there's like thousands of pictures of CBGBs and Maxes in the 70s leading up to the 80s. And a lot of these so-called hardcore iconic people, how come there's not one photo of them standing in the audience at a Ramones show or Dead Boys show? How come there's no pictures of them? Like even in the background, like not looking totally punk rock, like their first show. You know what I'm saying? Like, where were you guys? You weren't fucking there. Who gives a fuck?
Is writing something that you still actively pursue? Like, do you think at some point you're going to write some other work out there?
Well, I have been approached for a couple of different ideas that people had, including Feral House. They want me to do something else. I don't know. You follow my social media bullshit?
Yeah.
All right. So you see, I do write a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So some of it may wind up becoming some sort of a book at some point. Like, I'm really going through a lot of soul searching and shit lately. And I've been, battling some of my old demons, and I think that may well be part of what I try to do next. Like,
yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people would be interested in, and even as like, there in the last like 10 years, there's been this big movement towards, like, I hate to use the term like self-help books, but people who,
yeah, I exactly. That's sort of kind of where I was going with this, without wanting to say that, because I think that's some real cheeseball shit in a way. But there's something to be said when someone that you respect and someone that you thought was, unbreakable, when you actually realize that they struggle also.
Yeah,
and I think that can be empowering for people who feel alone. So that may be something that I would start working on. I mean, straight up, dude. I mean, look, you read my book, and I got some issues, I don't deny that. I have serious fucking PTSD, and I'm finally starting to really address it.
Yeah.
Actually, Jocko Willink who made me aware. And, when you have a fucking Navy SEAL tell you that you have post-traumatic stress disorder, you take it serious.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, he's someone who would be able to, know that story,
Yeah. That's like having, God tell you, like, dude, you have post-traumatic stress disorder, without any question in my mind. It's like when you have someone like that sent as the messenger, you fucking, you acknowledge that there's something that has to be dealt with. And, so, I think, that's why you see me writing all this. I hate to say self-help type of shit, but let me be clear that, I'm not trying to preach. I'm not trying to be like, this is because I'm struggling too. And a lot of my, don't give up preaching is really me trying to rewire my own thinking.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's important work, man. I mean, and especially like, like I said, there's been books out there written, and that the term we talked about is kind of corny, but on the other hand, it's a valuable thing for people out there to read and relate to, you know what I mean? See that there's other people are struggling. They're not the only ones out there struggling.
I tell you, man, I don't keep going back and talking about the same old bullshit over and over and over again. But like, I've had PTSD for a fucking long time, but I didn't know it. And Webster Hall really pushed it over the fucking edge. And I don't want to give any of those fucking bums credit with having done any kind of mental damage to me, because they didn't. The damage was already there. So before you flatter yourselves, you fucking amateurs, you were not responsible for anything. But what you did do, you fucking bitches, is it put me in a state where, okay, you got to figure, man, I went to see my fucking band play.
Yeah, the situation is fucked up.
I went there to try to fucking extend my hand to John and Mackie. They knew I was coming, and I got set up, and I got invited into the dressing room by people I know. And I got jumped on by people that I know and people that I don't know. And I've always been very approachable. I'm never a dick or rude to fans. If they want a selfie, whatever the fuck, I feel like, it's the least I could do, right?
Yeah.
But after that shit, it got to a place where I was like, when people walk up to me and like they look like they're into like hardcore, or they look like they might be like some wannabe DMS or wannabe FSU looking, tattoos and tough guy look or whatever the fact, like when I see somebody like that and I notice that they notice me or recognize me, I'm not really sure whether they're going to come over and want an autograph or whether I need to be ready to punch them in the fucking throat. You know, and that kind of fucked me up a little bit.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, and especially once you realize that a lot of your fucking so-called friends knew the shit was going to go down and didn't even fucking have decency to fucking give you a heads up. And you motherfuckers know who you are. Now, and I got friends of mine. I got people, I can't even call them friends anymore, but I got people that I know who were in the room when that shit went down. I got friends, people, I can't say friends anymore. I got people that I know that when I was getting invited into the room, they threw everybody out of the room. There was a photographer in the room. They threw him out because they didn't want anybody to get pictures or be witness. And they all started gathering around the door to jump me when I walked in. I got people I know posting about that years after the fact. Like, you know, nobody said shit then. But after the smoke, you know, cleared a little bit and people weren't as, you know, all of a sudden they started admitting what they know and what they saw. And to me, that shit's like, you know, I'm angry. You know?
I mean,
like,
it fucks with your sense of trust, and you know, and it makes you very cynical towards other people too, as well, that even aren't involved in that.
Yeah, and it's like, really, you guys did this because of what? Because I don't fucking suck your dicks? Because I think that you and your gang are nothing but a bunch of fucking bullies and fucking cowards? Yeah, so what? That's what I think. You know, fuck you. You wouldn't even exist if you weren't have been trying to emulate who you thought I was when you were little starry-eyed little fucking wannabe hardcore guys. You know, all these so-called hardcore thugs, they all used to be like little starry-eyed, want to suck my dick motherfuckers. And then all of a sudden they got big and grew up and got tattoos and started thinking they were tough. And it's like, you know what? Fuck all of you, man. Tough is what tough is, you know? I know dudes that will fucking rip your fucking heart out and put it in a blender and fucking drink it, you know, like, you know, and so anyway, yeah, that shit fucking fucked me up in certain ways, you know, and then I have a lot of childhood trauma, you know, a lot of, you know, people, they see all the pictures of me with the Clash and Andy Warhol and this and that, and all they think I lived this charmed life, like it was a great experience, and it was, you know, in a certain way, but there was also a lot of fucked up shit that went down, and little kids should not be in that type of environment. And you know, a lot of bad shit happened to me.
Yeah, that's the sense I get from reading the book too. I mean, you know, I was thinking about you were like 11 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old, and I thought about what I was like at that age, you know.
Dude, you know, shit is not supposed to be like that. Yeah, you know, I mean, look, bro, you know, look, man, you know, people, I don't really, you know, I mentioned in the book that I, you know, had been molested and stuff as a kid. You know, I didn't get into it because I was like, I don't want people to turn this book into like, oh, he got molested and that's all the book's about. You know, whatever. The fact is most people, you know, probably get molested in their life. You know, I guarantee you, like, almost all women, if not, you know, 99% at least, were either, I'm sure most women's first encounter with anything sexual was either through coercion or unwillingly, or through, you know, getting them drunk and fucking manipulating the situation. Let's just be honest here, okay? And, you know, but what people don't realize is the same shit goes for most guys, you know, most kids, I should say, you know, so, and, you know, so shit like that makes you, I turned really violent. And, you know, that's part of the reason why I'm struggling with all this PTSD shit, is because I did a lot of really fucking crazy shit. I hurt a lot of people in my youth, and I'm not comfortable with it yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, some people never come to that realization, though, too. You know, they just live their lives and they assume that this is like how things are. You know.
Yeah, no, I know, but the thing is, you know, I for whatever reason, you know, I started feeling a lot of guilt about it. And, you know, I know that there's really no going back and fixing anything, but at least I know that I have a conscience. You know, I'm not just a raging sociopath. I actually feel remorse. And, you know, see, people, motherfuckers don't get it. Like, you know, being a skinhead for me was not like about, it was not a fashion statement. It wasn't because I liked oi music. You know what I'm saying? Like, oi music was just punk rock with short hair. You know, you know, I took Clockwork Orange really serious. I mean, and I you know, I have a lot of regrets about that, you know. And, so, you know, I've been trying to fucking put shit in place. You know, I think that's something everybody needs to do sooner or later. I'm very lucky. I have a lot of close friends, like a lot of combat veterans, and a lot of guys who've been, you know, long prison sentences and stuff, and people who've been through some rough shit. People that can understand that, like, you know, this shit rewires your brain. So I'm really lucky I got people like that to talk to.
Yeah, I mean, these days it's, you know, it's there's an awareness of that stuff more so than there has been, and
yeah,
you know, I just think about the years past where guys would come back from Vietnam and whatnot. They had no one, you know, no one to talk to, no support groups or anything like that. No one, no support from their friends or anybody. You know,
I was talking to a friend of mine the other day whose father was a Vietnam vet who killed himself because he just couldn't take it anymore. And you know, I've been talking to this one group of veterans. They have this group that they call Recalibrate. And, you know, the part of what they try to do is they try to take the trauma and use it for empowerment. You know, they try to take the other approach, like instead of it breaking you, it making you stronger. You know, and I'm trying to ride that train. You know,
how has your involvement with Renzo Gracie and the Gracie Academy and Jiu-Jitsu in general, like, helped you over the years? Do you think that has been one of the things that I thank God for every day, and I say God kind of loosely because I'm sort of agnostic, you know. Yeah. But I am so grateful for the family that I have there. Renzo has really been one of my angels, and his brother Hyan, you know, from the other side, you know, he's always guarding me. And the people that I have there have been my strongest support group. That's where I found the help, you know. I have friends there who are combat veterans who train. And, you know, I keep talking about veterans and shit, and I'm not a veteran. I was never in the military, but they're some of the only people who can understand and relate to the type of things that I've seen and done. And so they get it. So I'm in a really great place in my life right now. You know, I'm like actually happier than I've ever been. And I wonder if that has something to do with, you know, why all of this is coming to the forefront now. You know, it's like, it's a good thing though. I think everybody needs to take a look at themselves and understand why they do what they do. And then maybe you can fix the things that need to be fixed, you know? Yeah. I mean, that's an awareness that, like, people live like in their own reality. They don't their own experience, and they don't understand sometimes. I mean, you know, everyone that you kind of create your own reality based on your perspective of the world. And then, like, if you can also change that by changing the way you see things or addressing things that you might have done and all that sort of stuff.
Literally, sometimes it's just a matter of looking at it from a slightly different angle. And then all of a sudden you see something that you could not even see before. And, well, I am grateful every fucking day. And, you know, and I also have little breakdowns all the time, you know, but I'm always fucking grateful. And I even, I'm even grateful for the fucking breakdowns, because I'm like, you know what? The day I stop feeling bad that's the day that's the day when I'm not honoring those that I wronged. I have to feel bad about that, but I also have to compartmentalize it and understand that the actions of my past, my past is not me. There were a lot of circumstances that caused certain types of response and certain types of actions that might not have happened in a different situation. Let me put it this way, okay? I have a friend of mine who's a homicide detective in Compton, right? And funny, because I used to hate cops, and like now I've got like a lot of really close friends to cops, as well as fucking tons of close friends who are like total criminals. I mean, I have friends of all, in all walks of life. But anyway, she was telling me, like there was one case she was working, and she's like, these 4 guys, they did a drive-by and some gang shit, like blood on blood or whatever the fuck. And she's like, so they killed this dude and we busted them and whatever. And it's like, one of them was fucking, 4 guys in the car. One of them was 14. One of them was 16. The other one was 23. And the other one was 35.
Damn.
And of course there was drugs involved and, everything else. And I know what it was like to be the 14-year-old.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I know there's a lot of shit that I did because of, I don't want to say peer pressure, but, even in my book, there's a lot of shit that I did that I wouldn't have done had I not been in that situation.
Yeah, it's a response to the environment. You know what I mean? It's like,
A lot of things are, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's something that, you got to fucking live with, and you got to figure out how to deal with, And, yeah, man, there's this fucking documentary you should watch. It's called The Redemption of General Butt Naked.
Oh, wait. Yeah. Well, all right. I saw the Vice thing about Liberia. And
yeah,
now there's
that
like a
motherfucker,
second.
man, it's worth watching. There's an actual documentary about him, and it's worth watching. It's because when you think about all the shit that this guy's done and everything, you're like, what an evil fucking motherfucker! This motherfucker was a cannibal. He used to eat babies' hearts and shit, and like
eating like human flesh and babies. And all that stuff.
Not even just human flesh, but like cutting the heart out of like living babies and eating them and making your soldiers eat them. I mean, but then like, so like your first impression is this guy is like too evil to walk the earth. But then, you realize that, wow, this guy was like indoctrinated into like crazy voodoo shit in his tribe, where he was like a witch doctor at like the age of 11 and was like, this is a part of Africa where shit like cannibalism goes down, and, you were talking about serious violence and war and destruction. And in a world like that, in a world of savages, only the most savage can rise to the top. Like, if you want, the king has to be the most savage, or your heart is getting fucking eaten. And so, to hear, I obviously at 11 years old, this guy cannot be considered fully responsible for his actions. And when you keep compounding that and compounding it and adding to the bloodshed and the violence around him and, all of that shit, it's really no wonder that people can become the savages that they become. And you know, this guy's like doing everything he can to try to make amends. He's like running around finding the victims of his fucking crimes and like throwing himself at their mercy, you know, and making himself available. You know, he's a fucking pastor now, for fuck's sake.
I didn't know I didn't know there was a second part to this guy's story. Honestly, man, I got to check that
No,
out.
man, this guy, you got to watch this documentary because, you know, as fucked up as this dude is, you know, it's like impossible to forgive someone like that, you know. But if you can understand that you take you know, you could have taken that same 11-year-old and raised him totally differently, and he might have been an amazing fucking person. You know, and when you see the power that he has as a speaker, you could just see the kind of leader he probably was, and what a scary motherfucker he could be. And you could take that same intensity and use it for good. That's some mountain moving shit right there.
I definitely gotta check that. Is it on Netflix or YouTube, or you know, is there a way to watch that somewhere?
I just found it on YouTube and watched it a bunch of times. I mean, I watched it twice. The first time I watched it halfway through, and I had to stop watching because I was like, man, this guy's like eating baby hearts. I can't watch this shit. Yeah. This motherfucker, this is just too much. But then I was just like, I gotta fucking see what it is what made him, you know, what made him change. And of course, you know, it's all about Jesus and this and that. You know, he found Jesus. You know, God bless, man. If that's what it took, man. You know, whatever it takes, you know, is a good thing once you find it. You know.
So when did you start training at the Gracie Academy? That was like back in the beginning, right? Like in the 90s.
Oh yeah, man. I started training with Henzo in like January of '96. I run the kids program, believe it or not. Like I'm respected and loved by little kids and parents. You know, who knew? You know, who could have guessed?
And back in '96, I think I only knew of like one other person who I didn't even know about jiu-jitsu prior to '96.
Most people didn't. Yeah. Most people really did not. You know, I discovered it in '93 with like UFC 1 and UFC 2, you know, and I was just like, yo, if I ever find one of these Gracie motherfuckers, I'm getting down. And you know, I was lucky that Henzo moved to New York, and I've been with him ever since.
Now, training, you know, I think people in general who they walk in on their first day there, and they might have like a certain sense about where they, you know, what their abilities are as like a fighter or a martial artist or whatever. Even if you trained other martial arts, how different is it on that first day to realize where you actually fit in the hierarchy of things? Well,
you figure out pretty quick that you don't know anything.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, and I'll tell you one thing, man, you could be an athlete like a motherfucker. You could be like a long distance runner, and you will be blown away at the type of cardio that it requires and what it takes out of you.
Yeah, it's hard to come back, man. It's hard to go in for that first day and then come back for
day 2.
I'll tell you,
you know, the people that stick with it, you know, they're either really crazy or they're just on a mission to really improve their lives. Like, you know, it's just it's no bullshit, man. You know, jiu-jitsu is really the closest thing, I think, to fighting that you can do as a sport. You know, like where it's not actual MMA, but it's like, you know, you're really learning how to go against somebody. Like, you're not fucking practicing kata, and you're not doing like rehearsed movements at someone who's going to attack you in this specific way. It's like, no, man, you're fucking going at it, man.
Yeah, and also like even in like kickboxing, like when you're sparring, unless you're in an actual, you know, you're in a fight, you know, but when you're sparring in kickboxing, it's like you're still not going 100%. You're going like maybe 70, 80%, mostly 50%. But
it's just a different thing, man. Yeah. It's really just, you know, grappling is like nonstop resistance training.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just, you know. And I honestly, you know, I haven't rolled in a while because I'm coming off back surgery. So like I've been teaching and I've been drilling moves, but I'm still recovering, you know, and I've been doing physical therapy and shit. Actually, that's also part of the reason why I think I started kind of having a little bit of a mental, I don't want to say breakdown, but I didn't have anywhere to put all my energy. Like,
yeah, that's a common thing, man. Like when you're used to going somewhere every day and doing certain things and expending a certain amount of energy, and then you have to,
and then all of a sudden you have all this free time where your brain is just fucking chewing holes in your fucking skull, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. How I mean, also another grim reality too of training any kind of grappling or martial arts is the inevitable injuries. So have you stayed fairly, aside from your obvious back surgery?
Yeah, I've been pretty good as far as jiu-jitsu injuries. I mean, I've had a couple, but most of my injuries just come from, you know, life. I mean, I had like a bad spinal cord injury that I wasn't even aware of. And it may have been a little bit compounded by the jiu-jitsu, but it actually stems from like a couple car accidents when I was young. And believe it or not, like 40 years worth of fucking head banging, stage diving and slam dancing did not fucking help.
That definitely
you know, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if fucking Tom Araya had back surgery, you know, come on, man. You know, I've lived a little fucking harder than him, you know, just a little. And so, you know, but yeah, you know, most of my injuries just come from fucking life. You know, it's really hard to live life and not have some injuries, especially if you do any kind of sport. I mean, you fucking play ping pong, you're going to fucking have, you know, elbow issues or whatever the fuck, you know?
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, man. You've been very generous of your time, and yeah, I really appreciate it.
Oh, bro, it's all good, man. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of things I wish I would have touched on. There's a lot of things I didn't anticipate touching on.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You know, but I mean, I guess the one thing I'll close this out with is, you know, I think it's really important for people to seek help if they need it. You know, like I wanted to learn jiu-jitsu. I went and I fucking found Renzo Gracie. You know, you can't teach jiu-jitsu to yourself. You can't like watch YouTube videos and figure it out. And the same way you can't necessarily fix your mental or emotional issues by yourself. Sometimes you need to go find that black belt, you know, that person. And I don't mean like martial artist black belt. I mean like a black belt at life, someone who really, and they're not going to be able to fix you, but they might be able to say something that will help you be able to fix yourself.
That's good advice.
You know, I think every one of us is damaged. I think, you know, think about it, man, from your first experience in life. You know, you're in this warm place, dark, you've been there, growing, developing, and all of a sudden you're like out in the world, the fucking lights are on, there's a doctor smacking your ass and cutting your fucking dick tip off, and what the fuck is going on? Like, this is how your life starts. That's not traumatizing. Nuts, I don't know what the fuck is. Like, I've been out of the fucking vagina for 2 seconds and you're cutting my dick off and smacking me around. What the fuck is happening here? You know, holy shit. So, you know what? Life is traumatizing. And, you know, it doesn't matter whether you're fucking, you know, you're fucking General Butt Naked or motherfucking Ivanka Trump. You know, you're going to experience trauma. I'd almost rather be General Butt Naked than have fucking Donald Trump as my dad. But, you know, you know, but, you know, my point is life is fucking no joke, and we're all damaged, and that's okay. We can still do well. You know, we can still do great things. And, you know, I think the most important thing is to fucking realize your mistakes and change. You know, I wish that John and Paris and Doug, and I wish they could recognize their own mistakes, and I wish that they could change. And I'm working on me. I can only clean my side of the street, and yeah. I don't hate any of those guys. I'm very disappointed with what the fuck went down. I'm very disappointed with John. I think what he did was wrong. He can make all the excuses he wants, Harley this, Harley that, dude. What you did was wrong. And until you can face that, you don't even deserve to have fans, dude.
Before we sign off, is there any place that people can go to find out about, information on the Cromags or what you got going on and tour dates like that?
Yeah, man, I'm all over fucking social media. People fucking go look at Real Cromags on Instagram. That page has most of the information up. HarleyFlanagan.com. I'm up on, fucking Instagram and Facebook and all that bullshit. If you want to know, you could find out. Yeah, man, everybody out there, man, fucking be well, kick ass, and do great things,
Once again, thanks a lot, Harley, and I wish you luck with everything, and I'm looking forward to hearing more. Hold on, let me hit that again. And I'm looking forward I got a little tongue-tied there.
Yeah, that's all good. No, bro, I look forward to crossing paths, and I can't wait for you to hear the new music. I'm very curious to what you'll think.
Yeah, man. All right, take care. Have a good day now.
Right on. You too, bro.
All right, take care. Well, that's it for this week's episode of Metal Matters, a Gimme Radio weekly podcast. Tune in next week and see what we have in store for you. The show is available on all streaming platforms, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, etc. Also, be sure to check out Gimme Radio, streaming on the web, iOS, or Android, for one of the best metal communities, exclusive merch, interviews with artists, and so much more. I'll catch you guys next week. Take care.
But then you come to ease back. You are the only one makes me feel this way. This is not hard for me to see. The only one makes me feel this way.